And today, we don't just have one, we have two amazing lean enthusiasts.
Words are empty. People change because of experiences. I remember him walking out with his head down, just shaking his head like going,
"Oh my gosh, what did I just see?"
He had his head in his hands at the end of the tour. He was almost emotional. He was like, I've never seen anything like this ever before. But what did he say? The biggest learning day of my business life, I think he said.
Yes. Wow. So I saw a clear vision, and I was deeply disgusted with the struggle that I was facing every day. But I did it because of one simple reason: respect. It's not about me.
My focus when I go to see other companies is not to say, what can we bring back? It's to, how can I help? I think most of it is excuses, and you just need to get it done because it'll fast track everything you're doing. You need to go to the source of information if you really want to take this serious.
If you have these first principles, these founding core principles in the way you think, in the way you conduct your life, some really good stuff's going to happen.
Hey there. I started this channel with one goal: to help people grow people. But here's the thing: growth isn't a solo journey.
The best leaders, teams, and businesses
Thrive because
they learn
and grow
together.
And that's what we're building here. So if that sounds like something worth being a part of, hit subscribe, because the more of us there are, the more we can invest in learning together. Let's grow together.
Welcome, everybody, to today's ANZ Learning Club. We're covering Ryan's Step 12, connecting with other lean enthusiasts. And today, we don't just have one, we have two amazing lean enthusiasts. We've got Paul Akers, founder of FastCap and the godfather of 2 Second Lean. And then we've got Ryan Tierney, also co-founder of Seeding Matters and the recent author of Lean Made Simple, which we're covering today. So we're going to get straight stuck into it. So I've got a question for both of you. And Paul, I'll start with you first. How would you define a lean enthusiast? Is it somebody who sleeps, eats, and breathes lean, or is it something broader than that?
Like a child. So I've thought about this quite a bit, and I actually have a guy that I'm working with right now. His name is Alec, and he's a carpenter in Kaiser Permanente, a big hospital company that does maintenance and everything. And I've been observing him, and he's like a child. He's so excited about everything. He's teaching his children, he's teaching his wife, he's teaching his fellow workers, and he's really like a child. He's not afraid to try anything. So a child is open to experimenting, open to learning, open to curiosity. And that's really the hallmark of a lean enthusiast or a lean maniac in my mind. They're just not afraid to take chances and experiment.
Ryan, what about you? What's your definition?
Yeah, I really like that from Paul. What I would say is a lean enthusiast is somebody who gets excited about the tiniest things, but is also a long-term thinker. And sometimes it's difficult to be both. When somebody labels their hammer, I'm jumping up and down. I think that's the best thing ever. I just love the small things, but also the knowledge that if we do this for 10 years, we can change our whole company. Yeah. So it's the ability to get excited short-term, but also have long-term thinking.
Yeah, I love that. That's just, it's the core, it's the basis of everything. If you have that excitement, you become an enthusiast. So Ryan, in your book, you made connecting with other lean enthusiasts step 12. Why didn't you make it an earlier step?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it doesn't have to necessarily go in the order 1 to 12. The first one does. The first step is, you have to, the leaders need to get this. And I learned that from Paul very, very early on. And that's why it's step number 1, to transform your lean culture. Because if the owners and the managers and the leaders don't get this, forget about the rest of the steps. Just, it won't work. After step 1, it doesn't necessarily matter which order you do it in. You don't have to necessarily wait to step 12 to connect with other lean enthusiasts. You can do that on step 2 or 3 if you want. So the book, yes, you can follow the book 1 to 12, but you don't necessarily have to have them in the order of the book. That's what I would say straight away.
Okay.
Because one of the first things I done was connect with other lean enthusiasts. I reached out to Paul straight away, went to visit FastCap, and like that totally blew my mind. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the 12th step.
Yeah. So Ryan, talk to me about what happens if the leader doesn't get it. What are the ramifications? What happens to the company? What happens to the organization?
Yeah, well, I get loads of messages on LinkedIn and YouTube and whatever, and I actually got one this morning from a guy. He works in a pharmaceutical company in England, in the UK, and he loves lean. He's so excited about it. He's making improvements in his area, but nobody else in the company is doing it. And to be honest, I think it's very, very difficult. And I advised him to go and get a job somewhere else, you know, straight to the point. And that's my thoughts, because he could annoy himself for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years trying to get everybody on board. The chances are that they may never get on board. So what are the ramifications? The ramifications are that people will be like lean maniacs like us on this call. Imagine us working in a company where the leaders didn't get it. You would get deflated. You would lose motivation. And it's the waste of our own potential. So I would always advise people to get the hell out of there and go and work somewhere where you're supported and encouraged.
Yeah, I agree completely. Same call. Actually, the guy that I told you about, who's like a child, Alex, he's a mid-level leader. He's a good leader. I mean, he's a leader that's significant, but his boss doesn't get it. As a matter of fact, he typed a letter to his boss, and his boss said, "Let's talk in 1 year."
All right, we'll go to Chris. Chris, you've got a question for Paul.
Yeah, g'day there all. Thanks very much for everyone's time. This is
Hey, Chris.
awesome. I'm very grateful to be involved in this group, and I've got a cracker question for you, Paul. With excitement with lean, whenever I try and attempt to tell a business owner or someone that's working really and struggling in a business, whenever I try to tell them about lean, I just can't seem to get it right. I just, whether it hasn't got the words or whether they feel like I'm trying to sell them something. How do I express, like as in the elevator pitch? You know, you're in the elevator with someone. What do I say to express what lean can do in a short couple of sentences? Is that possible?
Okay, well, Chris, I'm going to give you a shocking answer. I wouldn't get the elevator pitch, and I wouldn't waste my time with it. You'd think someone like me, where everywhere I go, people know who I am, and I would want to talk profusely about lean to people, but I don't. I only talk if they're curious and they ask me questions. I'm around people nonstop that I could say, "You know about lean?" Never, 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 never. So here's the best answer I could give you. You ready for this, Chris? People change because of experiences. People's minds change because they encounter some event in their life that makes them go, "Wow, I never thought about that." So the only way you're going to successfully get someone to change is because they encounter an experience with you, with your company, or something of that nature where their thinking goes, "Oh, wow, look what Chris is doing. That works. I've never seen anybody respond that way." Words are empty.
Okay.
Does that make any sense what I just said?
Yeah, it does. So I'm waiting for them. Basically, if they ask me questions, that's when I can let them know what we're up to.
Your focus in my mind should be completely on you and how you implement lean and how you orchestrate lean in your company, your organization, and how you develop incredible experiences for your people. And those experiences will ripple out around the world.
Okay, cool. That is a good answer, and it takes a little bit of weight off my shoulders because I was trying to.
Don't even worry about it. Just I mean, that's my opinion, but let's see what Ryan says.
Yeah, great answer. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, exact same as Paul. We don't push lean on anybody. And I got this from Paul. I learned everything from Paul. So we focused on ourselves. We made our company the best version of lean that we could be. And actually, I don't know if I told anybody this. I said it on that recent video that I done, but I set a goal about 8 years ago that we would make our company so good that someday the Japanese would come to see it. And that's exactly
And
what
they
happened.
did. And they did. And
And
not just the Japanese, the Japanese,
yeah,
the
and
Toyota
like
Japanese.
that's right. And at the time of writing that, if anybody had seen me writing it and looked around our factory and looked around our company, they would have said, Ryan is crazy. There's something wrong with him. But I set that goal because I wanted to be the best example that I could. And now what's the result? The same as FastCap, the same as all these high level lean companies. People want to come, they're asking us questions. It's all pull. I don't preach
Mm-hmm.
lean. I don't try and talk anybody into lean. People ask me all the time, "Oh, can you come and speak to your company to try and we're trying to encourage them into lean?" No, I don't do it. If they want to, if they want to learn, all the information's there. If they take it to the next level and they're really excited, like a call like this, of course I'll help and support, but I don't push lean on anybody. Exact same as Paul.
Yeah. So
Which goes back to interesting that I'm sorry, Edwin, just his word crazy, because Ryan said you got to be crazy about lean. I think that goes back to how do you define a lean enthusiast? Crazy is a very important element.
So Chris, to sum it up, pull, not push. That's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Period.
good example.
Ryan, so you just said your first tour was with FastCap. Tell us how that impacted your journey.
Yeah, so I came across Paul almost 11 years, and I was watching Paul's videos like over and over and over, just on repeat in the car, at home, at work. I was just watching over and over and over. And I said, honestly, I said, this has to be fake. It has to be edited for YouTube. Surely it can't be that good. And Paul was running around on a scooter saying 2 hours fax to truck. And I thought, nah, this isn't possible. So I had to find out for myself. So I got on a plane, went to see FastCap, went to see Paul's home, and it just totally blew my mind because it wasn't like YouTube, it was 10 times better.
Mm.
That's been really honest. And I remember being in the morning meeting at FastCap, and Lucas was holding the morning meeting, and they showed all the amount of work that they'd done the day before. And I was looking around saying, there's only about 43 people here. How did they get all that work done? But it's just crazy, crazy, crazy. Like 10 times better than I expected. And I just came home and I just went on to like overdrive. And I thought I was already sold on lean, but this just supercharged everything.
So
Very
going back
cool.
to that, like connecting with lean enthusiasts, it almost, that visit just made you just so much more confident that this actually works, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it gave you the fuel to say, we got to go through this, because the beginning is the hardest stage. Like just getting it off the ground is so difficult when people don't understand your vision, they don't see it. So having that is so important.
And one step further, I think every single person needs a person. You need a person that you can go to. Like in Australia, they can go to you, Edwin, and you know, in England, they can go to Jack Bussey. And like Paul, the amount of WhatsApps, the amount of communication we had over the last 11 years was just unbelievable, you know. And Paul was so willing to give up his time and help and support me. And now I'm supporting other people, but it's so important to have a group is nice and this community is nice, but there should be one person where you're like, right, how do I do this? And how do I figure out this? And what would you do if you were me? That one person is so important, I think.
Okay, so next question is for Paul. It's from Sean. Sean, do you want to ask Paul your first question?
Hey, Paul. Listening to all your podcasts, reading the book, everything else. When you decided to go down the path of lean and you had the two boys come in and paid them the $10,000, and to actually extend on that, you went to Japan?
Very shortly, just
Yeah.
a few, three,
So,
I think it was about 3 months later.
Yeah, you went off to Japan. How long was it for yourself that you found your own lean communities, or did you create the communities yourself locally? So you didn't have to travel overseas.
There was no lean community. There's zero. There was none. So I was out there solamente, just by myself in the ocean, floating around like a little cork. But I had the vision of what I saw at Lexus, and I saw what the Japanese were doing with their children. I saw what the Japanese were doing, and that vision was very burned in my head. So even though I was on my own and there was no one around me supporting me, I knew what I wanted, and I knew I was going to get it because I was disgusted with the struggle that I had been going through every day running the company my way. So I saw a clear vision, and I was
Yeah.
deeply disgusted with the struggle that I was facing every day. So those two things kept that ship going.
So from that point, though, did other locals see what you were doing, or how did it actually spread to a lean community
Yeah,
as such?
it was about, if I recall, it's been a long time, and it was 24 years ago. It was about 6 months, and other local businesses started coming and seeing that we were meeting every morning and everybody was cleaning, and other people just walk in and say, "What are you guys doing here, man? This place is incredible." And then the word just started spreading, and then more and more local businesses. And then it wasn't long before the actual governor of the state stopped by. Word had got out, the governor came by, and then it just started. I don't even know how. Well, I posted some videos, and then people started contacting me from YouTube. And I think Nick Cosell from Walters and Wolf was one of the first large 2,000 people. They had a huge company. The president flew up, but I remember he came up and he was just shaking his head when he walked through. So it just kind of spread organically as a result of the YouTube videos and local businesses, as I recall.
Yeah, so it's a little bit like Chris's question, I suppose, that you didn't push it onto the local community. They came,
Never.
they saw.
Yeah, no, I was so
Yeah,
focused on trying to get
very
my
good.
company for me not to struggle as a leader, and for my people to make improvements. That's the only thing that was on my mind. I wasn't thinking about convincing anyone else. I wasn't thinking about anything. And I was the kid who was, taking out the YouTube video, taking out my phone and shooting the video because this is cool. I got to share it. I got to show my buddy Tom and Mark. And, that was kind of the attitude.
Yeah,
That's
right.
awesome.
Very good. Very good.
Chris, you got your hand up. Is that for this question?
Yeah. I just wanted to add to that we use Grateful a lot. I'm so grateful that we've got these communities now. When
Mm-hmm.
I first read 2 Second Lean, there was an invitation at the back of the book to contact Paul. So I
Mm-hmm.
contacted Paul, and that was back
Mm-hmm.
in the day when I knew nobody in Lean.
Yeah.
And I voxed Paul and I said, "Hey, I'm just this guy from Australia. Just what do I do? How do I do this?" And it stemmed from there. And then, there was probably some communities, happening on the side that I didn't know about. But that was 3.5 years ago. And I'm just blown away by how it's impacted my business and my life. At that stage, I had one part-time employee. We've got two now, and we're looking for a third one. So Lean has made a big impact from that one message at the end of Paul's book was, if you need some information, you need some help, reach out. And that's what I did.
So I think Elon Musk talks about these first principles. And Chris, you said something, you're grateful. I think gratitude is definitely a first principle of lean. And I think the second one is respect. I didn't need to answer your phone call along with the thousands of others that Ryan and I get all the time. But I did it because of one simple reason: respect. You're important, Ryan. You're important, Chris. You're important, Edwin. It's not about me. If you have these first principles, these founding core principles in the way you think, in the way you conduct your life, some really good stuff's going to happen. And respect is one of them, along with gratitude.
Thanks, Paul. That was a very good key lesson. And just to put it in contrast, 4 years ago is when I saw a video of you as well, Paul. So thanks for that video. And
Mhm.
it all, again, I was like a child. I was like, oh, this is brilliant. We have to implement this. But
Mhm.
then I didn't buy the book because I consume audiobooks. I just bought your audiobook, but I didn't get your contact details in there.
Mhm.
And so I was doing it for 3 years on my own, just struggling along and going in it. And then
Ah.
and then one day I'm like, no, come on, there's got to be other companies in Sydney. So then I was reaching out, and because I was using Gebernox, I contacted Tom, and Tom said, oh, there's this guy in New Zealand. Oh, it's Phil. So Phil then put me on the ANZ WhatsApp chat. And then the whole world just opened up for me. And honestly, in
Mhm.
a year's time, my life has completely changed just on that difference of connecting with lean enthusiasts. I've got even a greater purpose than before when I was just helping a small company. Now I'm helping, multiple companies, multiple people. So it's amazing what connecting with other lean
Well,
enthusiasts.
Edwin, it's funny when you tell that story, all I thought about was how I screwed up Why didn't you know? Why didn't I have it make it more clear that you could have contacted me earlier on instead of go for 3 years before? So I'm just thinking to myself, what did I do wrong on that one? You know?
I don't think you did anything wrong. I think I guess, I don't know. It was in the book, but it wasn't in the book. In the audiobook, there's no way where your number is.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I was thinking. Wow,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Paul, take us back to that moment when Jeff Cass advised you to do a lean tour, host a lean tour. What kind of emotions and thoughts were coming up then?
I was wondering whether or not I really had anything to share. I was wondering whether or not it would seem silly when people came and saw that we were cleaning every morning and that we were making these small little improvements, and that I was crazy about someone putting a label on something or moving a box or, repositioning the smallest thing. And the first people that came on the tour that I recall, because that was again 24 years ago, that was a long, long time ago, would have been I was in a small group of business owners of about 6 8 people. And the purpose of the meeting, the purpose of the monthly meeting was not for lean. It was just to support each other in our business. And some of those guys came, Dave and Greg, and they came for the first time as part of the business thing to see what I was doing. And it was like, whoa, this is cool.
Sean, do we want to go to you?
Like we are today in this meeting, the world is such a small place. It's just a computer screen away. But when you're not in a position to travel the world, there could be that theory of, just do it. Just go to Japan. Just go to Fast Cap. Just go to Ireland. But when you're not in a position to take all of your staff to across the world, what do you think is the best way to get your team on board through these tours? I mean, for me, yeah, we've had them at meetings. I play them up on the screen in our group chat, improvement chat through work. I put links to all the YouTube videos, to Ryan, to you, Paul, to our books. What do you think is the best way to get the team involved?
Let's look what Japan's doing. Japan is not transporting all their students all over the world and everywhere. They have a very powerful routine that they teach both their children and the companies, and they're not traveling all over the place, and they created this culture. So I would say you need to have a very powerful and consistent and ever improving routine. But let's give it to Ryan and see what Ryan thinks on that.
Yeah, good question, Sean. I do think that lean it's a physical thing. We're working with, most of us aren't software engineers, but we've got factories, we've workbenches, we've tools, we've people, we have buildings. We're making physical improvements. And I just personally, I physically like going and seeing stuff. That's why I just get on the plane and go to Japan. I've been 5 times with Paul. I went to Fast Cap, went to Yellow Tools. I went all over the world. Like somebody contacted me yesterday on LinkedIn saying, do you have anybody in the south of Ireland that can do lean tours, because it's quite a bit to travel to go and see Seat Matters. It's 4 hours away. And I'm thinking, I got on the plane and went to the other end of the world, and you don't want to travel 4 hours. I think most of it is excuses, and you just need to pick a company, book a flight, find the money from somewhere. There's money is never a problem. There's loads of money. Figure out how to get there, book it, get it done, because it'll fast track everything you're doing. Go to Japan, fly here to Ireland, go to Fast Cap, go somewhere. Like I just had to go to the source, and that's something that I've done all my life. If I want information, I go to the source of information. So when we were setting up our business, I was very much into positive thinking and mindset. So I went straight to Bob Proctor. We actually went to Bob Proctor's home in Toronto. Wow. This was back at a time where he was charging $50,000 a day in consulting, and he met us for free, myself and my 2 brothers. When we were starting up the business, we wanted to figure out what's the best way to set up. We'd never ran a business before. Well, who's the best person to advise us on setting up a business? Probably Sean Quinn, the richest man in Ireland. So we went to meet Sean Quinn. When I started lean, who is the best in the world at lean? Paul Akers. I'm going to go and see Paul Akers. So Bob Proctor, Sean Quinn, Paul Akers. You need to go to the source of information if you really want to take this serious. So Sean, if I was you, I would pick a company right now. I would book a flight. I would just go and do it. Get the money somewhere, go and do it, and it'll fast track everything you're doing.
We put it on Alison that in the last one, say, seating matters in Sydney hasn't got a tour going yet. What's going
Yeah.
on?
Okay, Ryan, a quick one for you. So you've had like amazing guests come through Seating Matters, including royalty. What's been your favorite tour and why?
There's one tour that really stands out for me, and it was a guy called Paul Vallely. He owns a company called Cocoon Rugs in Newry in Northern Ireland. And the tour always stands out because Paul didn't know anything about lean. He'd never heard of lean. He just kind of found out about the tour through a friend or a colleague, and he thought, "Oh, I'm not busy. I'll go down and see what they're doing." He didn't really know what he was even coming for, and I still remember that tour because Paul, he like had his head in his hands at the end of the tour. He was almost like, oh, he was almost emotional. He was like, "I've never seen anything like this ever before." But what did he say? The biggest learning day of my business life, I think he said.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Wow.
And he went back, and you should see their company. They're an online retailer, so totally different from what we're doing. But he
Right.
totally got it on the first day, on
Wow.
the first
That's a
tour.
great. Can I answer that question too? Because Brian, that is a great answer.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I had a similar experience with Nick Cosell from Walters and Wolf. Nick is a big, tall guy, about 6'5", and he's the president of this huge company with 1,800 employees, and he flies up there because his chief operating officer sees the videos and says, "Hey, you got to come see this." He doesn't really know what he's getting into, and he had the same response as what you described. He was just, I remember him walking out with his head down, just shaking his head, like going, "Oh my gosh, what did I just see?" And Nick turned out to be, the biggest lean maniac, transformed, union, all union shop, and complete crazy radical transformation. Interesting. The same
Mm.
thing, Brian. I never thought about that. He was just holding his head going, "What did I see? This is crazy."
Yeah.
Well, Paul, this is for you because you have visited so many lean companies all around the world. What's
Mhm.
been your favorite tour and what made it stand out?
Okay, I'm going to tell you which one. I talk about it in the book a little bit. It was in Japan, and it was on, I think, my second trip to Japan. We went to a company that fabricated metal electrical boxes for electricians. What blew me away about that tour was, number one, the passion of the leader, the president. Number two, how small the facility was. Number three, how beautiful it was, all painted with beautiful murals all over the walls. It was a metal fabrication place, a dirty, potentially ugly place. It was spotless clean. It looked like Disneyland. There were pictures of whales and murals. And then they went and cleaned the neighborhood once a week. They went out and walked around the entire block and cleaned the neighborhood. Everything was just like so compact, so small, so just in time, so pleasant, so beautiful. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. That set the vision for what I wanted in my company.
It does kind of open you to your mind to other possibilities, what else is possible that you didn't
Hmm.
know before,
Hmm.
right? And that's why connecting
Hmm.
and going and touring is so important to you. Just it's almost like you're
Right.
going back to that child mindset when you don't know what you don't know, and then you suddenly wow, and it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
blows because you now realize what you
Right.
can do. So it's amazing. Paul, another one for you is when you walk into a company on a tour. What are you looking for to kind of indicate these guys are truly living lean?
Well, enthusiasm and people that are happy and people that want to show me what they're doing, and not they don't have their head down, but people are alert and alive. That's in a lean company, that would be the most obvious for
Mm.
me. But let's go, Ryan. I'm curious.
Probably two things, passion and action. So are they passionate? Are they really like into what they're telling
Mhm.
you?
Mhm.
Are they really excited about it? And then do they take action? Because there's loads and loads of people that just talk about this stuff. They watch videos, they listen to podcasts, they've read all the books, they go to all the seminars. But what are you actually doing? How many improvements have you made today?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I made 10 or 12 improvements yesterday.
Mhm.
I'm going to make another 10 today. it's just, and that's almost 11
The way
years on
we're-
every
yeah.
single day. It's just natural now. When you walk into another company that's doing lean, you want to see, are they taking action and are they passionate, I suppose.
Beautiful.
For me, when I went to the summit and saw Jack's place, I wasn't looking at the tools and I was just having conversations with the people and seeing how much they love their job and how much they love
Right.
improving. And that for me was like,
Mhm.
that's gold. If you have a
That's
workforce like
everything.
that, they'll come on Saturdays and they just want to improve. They just want to make their workday better. And it's totally engaged, right? It's amazing. So, Phil, you want to ask Paul a question?
We talk about connecting and going visiting people just deeper than what the actual tools they see, and actually connect with the real lean mindset. So I know, like Ryan's talked many times about how Michael Althoff said to him, "Hey Ryan, it's all about growing and developing people." And it's on the title of Paul's book. It's all about how to grow and develop people. But when we walk in, like if we walked into Seating Matters, we're just blown away with the tidy shelves, everything's all organized. But that's a byproduct. So how do we see the thinking behind that?
Well, I think because we can't bring our entire team to go and see companies, it's mostly me and a few others that have done the traveling. To be honest, we try and bring people, but it's not always possible to bring all 65 people to all the companies I've been to. So what we need to be as leaders is really good communicators and really good teachers. And again, I learned this from Paul. Like, we'll watch a video of some other company at our morning meeting and we'll pause and we'll slow down and think, why did they do that? Why did they do this? Slow it all down and try and internalize the information, because it's okay just looking at something or going to a factory and looking around, but you almost have to slow your whole mind away down in like slow motion and watch everything with a real imagine your head moving like this instead of this, and try and internalize everything that's going on. So I could stand in one point of somebody's factory. Let's pick Jack Bussey's factory. You could stand in Jack Bussey's morning meeting area for like 10 minutes and take in everything that's going on. Most people walk in and they're around the whole place in 5 minutes. But it's about being still and calm and slowing down your mind and just taking everything in. Why did they do that? Why, I see that. I can see a light. I can see the flow markers. I can see a bell. I can see there's a board there. I wonder, just being really, really curious and slowing down your mind to try and internalize the information. So most people go too fast and they miss everything.
Beautiful. Couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Phil, what do you think? What do you think, Phil?
I still get awestruck by, all of the improvements, and I'm trying to bring back, the thinking. I'm communicating, like the lean shadow boards or the tools or all the stuff that's visual, because that's really easy to describe and teach. But I'm failing at communicating the thought process that what were they thinking that came up with that? So you might say something that is like, say, Ryan, he might have or Jack, laser cut out fancy things compared to someone who's just got a brother label maker and stuck the label on there. And equally, both of those improvements, whilst one is top notch, where the other one's just a little label maker, the thought process behind them is the same. Hey, here's a problem and I'm solving it. It's not just, I don't know how to describe it. Because it's just a pen, it's just a label. Well, no, it's none of that. It's actually, what was the thought process behind that?
Well, I think Ryan's answer is your answer. Instead of maybe trying to convey that the improvement as much as why they made the improvement, asking your people why and getting them to speak.
Okay, Ryan, one for you is what advice do you have for those who've built a lean culture and are thinking of hosting tours? What advice would you have for them?
Do it right now. No excuses. Like in the next 2 weeks. Too many people put stuff off, and you just need to just do more stuff. Like Elon Musk, send the rocket up and see what breaks, and then fix what breaks. Just go, just go for it. Too many people put it off, and we'll wait until we're perfect. We'll wait until we have the new extension finished. We'll wait until we get the floors painted.
Yeah.
Literally after this call, put a message out or email someone and invite them for a tour. Just absolutely do it, because the process of doing tours actually makes you better at lean. So the longer you hold off doing it, the longer you're dragging this whole thing out.
Well, that takes me to the next question is what's your origin story with your brand Lean Made Simple? Why did you start it, and how has it evolved?
So Lean Made Simple, I wanted to come up with a different brand that wasn't seating matters, because obviously our chairs are for hospitals, nursing homes, our customers are occupational therapists, and it was kind of a bit of brand confusion when people seen tour guests walking around learning about lean. Our customers were confused. They didn't know what was going on. Why is this medical chair company helping companies with how to set up their factory? It just looked a bit funny. That's all it started with, just a different brand. So all the lean stuff on LinkedIn could go on here, and all the seat matter stuff was here. That's kind of where it started. Yeah, I just started posting videos on YouTube, the same as Paul, and people started coming here on tours. And
how long into your journey did you start doing that? Did you realize, I got to separate this because this is two different companies almost?
About 5 years ago, I would say 5 or 6 years ago.
And it's
because
now grown into this monster.
it has, and all based on pull. There's no marketing budget. We've no plan to scale it. It's just all pull. But our focus is always to be the best that we can at lean, not the best at talking about lean. I get invited, like Paul, to speak all over the place, go on podcasts and do videos, and that's all good. That's all sharing the information. But we're first and foremost a lean organization. We need to make sure that, or I need to make sure that I don't get distracted by talking about lean instead of doing lean. I want to still do lean 80% of my time and talk about it 20% of my time.
This goes on to my next question is there's probably thousands of companies doing 2-second lean around the world, yet we have fewer than 100 on the Lean Hub that we've just updated and on the Lean Made Simple community. Why do you think that is, Paul? I'll start with you.
First of all, I think to put yourself on a lean hub and say, hey, I'm willing to help people. I mean, that's a whole nother level of responsibility and courage and sticking your neck out there. So I think there's that in large measure. Personally, to be honest with you, it's funny. I think it's amazing that we have 100 companies that are all over the world that are willing to say, hey, I'm here to help. I'm here to do that. I mean, it'd be great if there's 1,000, but I'm happy there's 100 because I know how many there are. They're all over the world. They're everywhere. But to say, that little factory in South Africa that's building refrigerators that I was at not that long ago, they're in their wee stages and they're struggling with all kinds of things. I don't know. They feel like they're going to say, hey, come here and I'm going to help you when they're trying to find their way.
My thoughts will be that Lean Made Simple was never supposed to be a business or an organization. It was just a YouTube channel. That's where it started. But now we're doing tours, and we've got the book and the podcast, and I'm doing more speaking engagements. And we've actually employed, just on Monday this week, we've employed a full-time person to manage Lean Made Simple. So It is kind of turning into its own thing. And that's why when you go to the back page in the book, it says scan here to connect with other lean enthusiasts. There wasn't a lot of companies on there because it has up to now it's been nobody's job. We're all just seat matters. Our first thing is make chairs and serve our customers. Lean Made Simple was always kind of over to the side. So this new person that started this week will be organizing tours, organizing book sales, updating the website, and so now it's actually somebody's job, and I can see that growing and that team growing. Based on pull, not on push at all. We have no plans to scale it. It's just scaling on its own because people like the content and they like what they see. So it's just it hasn't been updated probably because lack of resource and focus, but now we have a full-time person. Yeah.
I'm guessing there's also quite a few people that come like twice or the third time and they bring different people along. Why do you think that is?
So we had a company here yesterday on a tour. They've sent 85 people
Wow.
in total. Wow. They just send them in groups of 5. We have another company that make body armor for the British Army. They have sent 140 people. Wow. They just send them in 5s, just like a rolling thing. They just 5 people every week. There's another company SDC trailers, who you're probably familiar with.
Yeah.
They've sent loads of people, but because it's like when I started this, I had to go to America, Japan, Germany. But now people can drive. They can get in their car and drive for an hour or 2 hours and learn all this stuff. So it's a fast track for them. And I think people have realized that if we send 5 people to Seed Matters, they come back with a brain transplant. So
Can I hear that? I just think of the routine. I just think, people have established this routine of sending these people to Seeding Matters. I think that's very important. Consistency in the way you deploy it. I
They
interrupted
also
you,
see
Edward.
value in it, right? There must be value. If you want to send 140 of your people over to another company, they come back different, right? And they add value back into your company, which
Mhm.
meant like it's got this snowball effect.
absolutely, yeah. It's
Absolutely.
costing them money not to send them. Yeah.
That's the
That's a
line
good
of the
answer.
day. Paul, what about you? Are they still doing a lot of tours at FastCap? And who's managing
Yeah,
that?
we do tours very, very often. I would say probably maybe one a week, not a lot, only because we don't allow a lot of people to come to fancy camp. We have to get work done, and we have so many people that want to come. So people ask, and I say generally no. You have to meet the super high criteria. You have to have 100 videos on YouTube. The president has to come. You have to clean the toilet. You have to have daily morning meeting, daily 3Sing. Because, I laid it all out in the book what you need to do. I mean, if you do that and then you do all those other things, you can come. But if you're not willing to do that, you can't come because it became overwhelming for me. Ryan knows we've talked about this together. It's just like nonstop. And I have to serve my customers. I can't just constantly be on tour all the time. And that's why I made the videos so that it's just really clear what to do. But then if you meet a certain threshold, sure, come, no problem.
And recently I saw that Jack brought one of his guys over to you.
Oh, that's always open. For the top tier people, you can come embed somebody for a week with us, whatever you want, come stay with us. Yeah.
When I saw that, it kind of blew my mind because he came with the whole history of improvements from Jack's company, and he could still make improvements in FastCap, which they couldn't see. So I just thought, that blew my mind.
Yeah,
Like
no, it's
what
one
other
of my
companies do this in the world?
coolest thing ever is when we have people embedded with our company. But that takes a vision from the president of the company to realize, hey, I'm going to send my people there for a week and do all that. We've had people from banks from uh, Slovakia. We've had people for a month come
Mm,
for a whole month to put people in our company, and
wow.
that's a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we want to go over to some chat room questions. Chris, are there any questions in the chat room for us?
There was, well, it's a question from me, which was, can we get an indication of the cost involved for a Japan study tour that Paul's
Yes.
hosted in the past? That's been brought up tonight. How do we, do that? So what would the cost involved be?
Yeah, there's $6,800 to go to Japan.
Okay.
So, and I always tell people I paid over $10,000 24 years ago to go.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you
Definitely
could just
well.
put the no,
Definitely.
you can figure that one out really quick.
Yes. We've also got a question here from Matt Loveday, so I'll read this one out. Unless Matt, you want to do it yourself, mate?
So, Paul, you're seeing companies, right? You're seeing companies all over the world so regularly. How are your brains not exploding with potential ideas that you can bring back and implement in your company? And how are you regulating that? Are you just drip feeding?
I don't worry about any of that. To be honest with you, I only worry about the improvements that we're making in our company. I don't worry about, oh my gosh, they're doing this and they're doing this and they're doing that. I mean, that's cool. I mean, but our people know how to figure stuff out because they do it every day. So I don't really worry about any of that stuff. I only focus on my people making small improvements every day. And that's all I care about because they discover so many cool things just by doing that. I mean, it's great to see what other people are doing and they take those ideas, but it's not our preoccupation at all. I mean, we watch other people's tours and we get inspired by them. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like, oh my gosh, they're doing this and we got to do this. Not at all.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
That surprise you, Matt?
a little bit. I mean, the high level things that you're seeing all the time
Well, we share it, but we don't stress out like we're behind or we got to do that because they're doing this. I mean, we're doing it. That's all that matters is we're doing it. And
Yeah.
in doing it, you figure everything out.
My focus when I go to see other companies is not to say what can we bring back, it's to how can I help, and it's a totally different mindset to go with. So I went to see a company, Applied Concepts, in County Offaly in Ireland 3 weeks ago.
Kevin Brady,
And
yeah.
Kevin, yeah, and we done a video and it's on YouTube. But my whole intention wasn't to go there to say, oh, how can we bring Kevin's ideas back to Seed Matters? My whole goal was to go there and help Kevin. We come up with an idea in the first hour to combine two factories into one. They were traveling like 15 minutes away and going between plants, and they like all this transportation and overproduction. And we combined the whole thing in like 1 hour, and it's totally changed their business. And they're doing it right now. They're putting on a small extension, moving the first factory beside the main factory, and they reckon it's going to save them 200,000 euros a year. But if I went to Kevin and saying, what can I take from Kevin? How can I take from Kevin to help Seed Matters? We wouldn't have come up with that. And if we just focus on helping and not focus on what we get, then it's all worthwhile.
Lean enthusiasts are also givers. They always look at what can I do to improve around me, not just improve me. Paul, I've got a question for you because you've been in Japan so often. How far ahead are the Japanese to the rest of the world? Like, because I don't think I have any idea.
I think that on a scale of 1 to 10, the whole world's a 1 and Japan's a 9 or a 10, but that's just my opinion. I think that the rest of the world has no clue what they're doing and they have their head up their ass. I don't know what to say. That's my honest answer, but that's just me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The best example probably is when Mr. Amazawa and Mr. Umemura came here with Paul about 2 years ago. They were like absolutely disgusted at the way we lifted nuts and bolts out of our bins. And we were like, what do you mean? And they're like, why do you not have like, they recommended putting foam, a bit of like sponge on the bottom of the bin so that when you reached your finger in to pick out the bolt, that your finger could kind of sink into the foam and you could lift the bolt easy. And I was just thinking, these guys are just at another level. We're still walking around our factory looking for tools. We are 10 years on. And they're worried about how to pick a nut out of the bottom of a box and try and get that the first time instead of having to fumble. They just think at a different level.
Completely different level. And you only need to walk through the airport at Japan. You don't need to go any further than walking through the airport in Japan and compare it to any other country in the world to know how screwed up the rest of the world is. Because when you go to Japan and you walk through the airport, you go, what am I looking at? This cannot be.
Yeah. Phil, you went recently. What was your experience?
Oh, just totally mind blown. So I think I'm gonna have to go back a second time to get over the shock of how different it is. Like Paul took us downtown Tokyo, peak hour traffic, to catch a Shinkansen train, and there was like just literally would have been millions of people there. And yeah, it was really busy and we had to hustle, but everything just flowed and we got on the train just in time, and the train was only there for 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes. And to comprehend at the same time, my mate went to a concert with only 50 or 60,000 people and people were getting bruises and pushed out of the way. They're trying to protect their wives from the people going through. And there's only 50, 60,000 people here in Japan where there's probably a million people, I don't know, in this pack.
37 million in Tokyo, the biggest city in the world, and it's calm and quiet.
So before we go, Paul and Ryan has got a challenge for us. So Paul, do you want to set us a challenge? Talking about connecting.
Well, I think you guys should document 100 tours. I think all of you guys should be going to all different places, and you should have a tally and 100 tours in 1 year. And you guys should all get out and see each other, and everyone should be contributing to meet that goal. And I think that everything is going to spread like crazy. It's already spreading like crazy, in my opinion, in Australia and New Zealand. I see very good things everywhere I go. But I think the next step is get out and visit one another.
And Ryan, do you think that's possible?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it. It's very inspiring and motivating, and it should start like right after this call, you should all email each other and set it up.
We've got the WhatsApp
And
group.
immediately, don't worry how perfect you are. Doesn't matter.
Guys, I'll put my hand up for keeping record of everything. We've got the WhatsApp group. I've got it, the resource set up, the Google Sheet, and let's do it. Let's learn from each other, not just from the WhatsApp group, but actually going visiting and having those deep conversations and seeing what engagement looks like in your staff and what we can learn and give for each other. So it's really, really important. All nods.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well,
Awesome.
I just want to say that I personally, even though it's 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning for me right now, I enjoyed this time because I think it was small groups of smart people. I think, we had a small group of pretty thoughtful and pretty passionate people here. And I think that is also a key point is don't worry about how big everything is. Just make sure you reach people that really want to change and really want to make a difference in the world.
Well, on that bombshell, I want to thank you, Paul, for waking up so early in the morning. And thank you, Ryan, for missing your morning meeting to be with us. And I thank you, all you guys, for coming on board today and listening and learning and growing. And it's just been amazing. Till the next Learning Club. Thank you, guys. It's amazing because you guys have such experience that us that have only been doing it for a short period don't even think that way. We don't even think standing and being patient and looking and not rushing through things and like Paul, comes back to your childlike mindset and respect. That everything is down to respect. Whenever I think about it, it's how do you treat other people? How do you treat other human beings? And when I see that people don't get it, it's because they're so about them. It's so it's me. And once they just shut that off and open up and they're like, wow, there's this whole world. How can I give to them? Everything opens up. So that's
Edwin, that would be the answer about Japan and the difference between Japan. And that is the first thing you feel is the way people are so focused on other people there. And that is the overriding thing you feel.
I was fortunate enough to go to Japan back in 2013, 2014, but I didn't have this my waist goggles on.
Sure. No, right.
And I remember the one experience. I got into one of the trains in Tokyo, and I'm tall, and everybody's down here, and they look up at me, and they're like, oh, so tall. And then, they were like, yeah, you're packed in this train. Not once did I feel like my space was being invaded or anything. They are so respectful. You just feel like, wow, you walk away and you're like, exactly, this is unreal. That was my experience in Japan. But I'd love to go in the future with my waist.
Well, it's funny. We've had a lot of people go to Japan who have been before and then come with us, and they say, "I had no idea what I was looking at. Now I understand what's going on." Because it's so foreign.